Today we're sitting down with a former college national basketball player of the year, a current Los Angeles Clipper, and a watch collector. His name is JJ Redick, and today we're talking about watches. So JJ, how did you get into watches in the first place?
I guess I always kind of admired watches, liked watches. First watch was a Rolex. I bought it here in New York City the day before I got drafted in the NBA draft, and I got bit by the watch bug. I was doing Cartiers for a while. I was doing Panerai for a number of years, and then my collection, my taste in watches has kind of evolved over the last 6 years.
That's kind of how this whole thing came about. I noticed your collection online. It shows a really high taste level that you don't often see in people your age, our age. Can you tell us what you kind of look for when you're looking for a new watch?
The vintage look of a Vacheron, of a Patek, FP Journe, all these kind of romantic, classic looking watches has always been what has kind of appealed to me. My first watch was actually a 36mm Datejust, which I'm 6'4", so it didn't really look right on my wrist, but that was my first inclination, was to get something a little dressier, a little more, vintage looking.
So you bought a Rolex. That's a great one.
Yeah.
But, I mean, when did you go crazy with it?
The first year of my second contract in the NBA, my first kind of high-end was an Audemars Safari Edition, which to this day still is my favorite watch that I own. It's the watch that I wear the most, and it's pretty much at the max of where I'm at with watch sizes too. I think 42 for me is the perfect size. 40 to 42 is kind of where I'm at, and anything over than that, it just doesn't fit with kind of my whole vibe anymore.
I'm going to call it out right here, everybody. You're witnessing this. He's a professional basketball player, 6'4", saying that 42mm is the max.
I guess it took a few years to figure this out, but so much of collecting, and if you're actually going to wear your watches, it's ultimately what feels good on your wrist and what you enjoy wearing. I spent a lot of time on the internet, unfortunately. I think that's how I came across your site. But it was during the lockout that I really got into it, and actually started buying, trading, selling watches, and came to know some people in the watch community. I'm a pretty private person, so it's interesting how that happened, but I guess when you don't have a job and you have a lot of time on your hands, you got to fill it with something.
Can you tell us a little about some of the watches that you brought today?
I brought my FP Journe. I have a chronometer blue.
How did you come to Journe, out of curiosity? Because that's like a brand like you really have to be into watches to get.
I had seen some things online, and then I did a little bit of research on it. And when I bought my Vacheron, the FP Journe boutique is next door. And so I stopped in and started looking, and I tried the chronometer blue on, and I was like, all right, at some point in the future, I'm getting that. Not a lot of people know FP Journe. I mean, I think they make 850 watches a year. It's not a ton. And so the true connoisseurs, when they bring that name in, I'm like, oh, you know what you're talking about.
Absolutely.
The thing I love about this watch is the color of the dial. You get all sorts of shades of blue, depending on how the light hits it. And when you mix that with the tantalum case, it creates a super cool watch.
Yeah, I honestly think that's one of the best buys in watches, period.
Yeah.
Like just at 20 grand, like the movement on that is like a work of art.
The movement's made out of red gold. I mean,
yeah.
It's awesome. Another one of my favorite watches is my Portuguese. I put that on the Santoni strap, and it's the 500107, so it's the one with the blue markers and the blue hour hands and everything. And for some reason, the Santoni strap just looks awesome on it.
This watch is, I think, going to be really valuable down the road. It's just like, it's really difficult to find, and it's just so interesting. It's really a special one.
Yeah, no, it's super cool. I mean, it's very unique, the dial layout and everything. I'm not huge on yellow gold. I mean, I think rose gold nowadays, probably most collectors, most people that wear watches, most jewelry guys will wear rose gold. I mean, it's more popular right now.
Sure.
But I like this version of it so much more than the rose gold version.
And did I see that you wore this the day that you signed your?
Yeah, when I signed with the Clippers and did my press conference, this was the watch that I wore. I was debating between these two, but ended up going with the Vacheron.
What was the thinking there?
I think it went better with my outfit.
Fair enough. And then the jumbo as well.
I was deciding between this and a Nautilus, and I mean, I probably went back and forth for 2 months, tried them both on a bunch of times. It kind of went well with the Safari. My wife actually, she liked the AP better than the Nautilus, and she kind of had the deciding vote. I don't know if any collector is ever fully satisfied with his collection. It's always an evolving thing, but definitely these 5 watches, as well as the one I'm wearing on my wrist. They'll be in my collection forever. Hopefully I'll have a kid someday to pass it down to.
And last watch you bought was?
When I got my new contract with the Clippers, this was a watch that I wanted. It was either this or the 5070, which the 5070 I love. I tried them both on. I like the way this wore a little bit more. As I was saying, I do like the smaller watches. The 5070 at 42 millimeters with the chronograph wears a lot bigger than this does.
It does, no question.
So it kind of brought me back again to that romanticism involved with Patek and the vintage look, and that's the reason I chose this one.
So what's the dream watch? What's the one that you're dying for?
Well, for a long time it was the ALS double split, but after buying my first Patek, I definitely think that the 5970 is my dream watch, and I don't know if there's a watch that you would ever need besides that, to be honest with you. I mean, it's just to me it's a perfect watch. So that would be the dream watch, and it might be one of those things where if I get it, I don't know if I'd wear much else. It'd be hard to take that one off my wrist. When I was at Duke, going in my junior year, I took Italian because I wanted to go overseas to play in Italy.
Really?
Yeah. And then, 6 months later, I was National Player of the Year. My first 2 years in the league, I didn't play at all, and 6 years later, signing a 4-year deal with the Clippers. It'll take me to 11 years in the league, playing for Doc. I'm gonna play with Chris Paul, Blake Griffin, playing on a team that has a chance to win a championship. I always kind of wanted to see, like, all right, prime of my career, playing for a playoff team in a big market, what is that gonna look like?
Yeah.
And there's like this, added amount of pressure and expectation. It's exciting. I mean, it's really, really
so
exciting.
cool.
As a competitor, it's like, get your juices going.